What's up guys, Moonlight150 here, and I thought I'd be making a different kind of video. I actually haven't made one of these in a very long time, since PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, I believe. But this is a speculation video on a highly anticipated game that I have coming from E3, that is Injustice 2. I don't know if the official subtitle is Every Battle Defines You, but could be. But Injustice 2 is going to be coming out spring, most likely, of 2017, so we have a long time before then. But I thought as of right now, of what we know so far, I wanted to make a speculation. I actually want to make like a series of these, not really a series, but like a couple installments every like couple months or so. Because I'm going to be guessing they're going to be releasing a character, maybe a character or two every other month or so. Because we have 6 months left of the year, and then we also have like 4 months or so of 2017 that we have to get through. So I thought maybe every couple months I'll make like a revision of this, see like who did they officially confirm, who's leaked, who's discussed. And there's one big part that is going to be affecting at least this speculation, at least until we find out official confirmation. There's a current speculation right now that Injustice 2 takes place entirely on the Injustice world, as in the world where Superman became an evil tyrant and all this stuff, and some characters are dead. So that's the official speculation right now. I have a couple theories of why that is not true, and I'll get to that in my breakdown of who I think is possibly on the cast. So before we get started, let's go under the ground rules of this video. At least, yeah, for this one. We're going to be thinking that this entire roster is going to be only comprised of living characters in the Injustice world, as in no characters like Green Arrow because he died in the comics. So no one who died in the comics or in the story mode of the game, of the first game. Second, we are only going to be going up to 28 characters because that is the current speculation number of the launch roster based on gameplay, but as we saw in Mortal Kombat X and I think even the first Injustice, what the demo builds are that we see at conventions aren't necessarily what the initial roster actually looks like. So we're just going to go with 28 right now because that's like a decent number. I think that's even bigger than the starting roster of what Mortal Kombat X had. But we won't be discussing DLC because DLC is an entire different beast. They follow their own set of rules, especially with NetherRealm. So first off, so like I said, the rules are we're only going to go up to 28 characters, and we're going to speculate. We're going to go off the speculation that this is entirely the Injustice world only. No one crossing over from a normal DC world where everyone's alive. So let's just start with who's been confirmed so far, and that is Batman, Superman, Flash, Aquaman, Supergirl. Gorilla Grodd was later confirmed in a E3, not the reveal trailer, but the E3 play, and Atrocitus. And then a little before that, we got a kind of unofficial confirmation leak suggesting add Dr. Fate, Captain Cold, and Harley Quinn, as if you follow Injustice News. There was this t-shirt they were handing out that showed a bunch of like weapons and logos of certain characters for Injustice, and Dr. Fate's helmet was there, Captain Cold's gun is in the teaser trailer, and Harley Quinn's hammer. And also not to mention Wonder Woman, but we'll get to that in a second when I discuss returning characters. So as I said, there are some dead characters in the Injustice world, so let's just get through those real quick. Those are Green Arrow, Lex Luthor, Nightwing, the Dick Grayson version of Nightwing's. So it's possible they could bring Nightwing back if this is an entire Justice Earth game, but it would be the Damian Wayne Nightwing that we see in the first game. Shazam and the Joker. So these are some pretty big hitters of DC lore to not have in a fighting game. So that's like kind of that's like kind of half deconfirmation that this would be entirely Injustice world, because why would they not bring in such big characters like Lex Luthor, the Joker, or Green Arrow? But who knows, they could go really ballsy like that and not do it. Some other characters that are confirmed dead from the comics are Captain Atom, Huntress, Scarecrow, and Swamp Thing. I want to talk about Swamp Thing really quick, because I have two kind of important theories of why this is not an entirely Injustice world. Swamp Thing being one. Ed Boon actually put out a poll on Twitter saying, which of these characters would you most like to see in Injustice 2? And he listed Blue Beetle, Swamp Thing, and Captain Cold. So we already know Captain Cold's in, but Blue Beetle has been requested a lot, and Swamp Thing. And the thing about Swamp Thing is he is dead in the comics, and if so, why would he recommend or like ask, do you want Swamp Thing in this game if he's already dead? So that's my first speculation about why this game is going to have some like crossover from maybe the previous universe that we had in Injustice 1, where characters like Green Arrow, Joker, and even Swamp Thing are still alive. So, but like I said, this video alone is speculation that this game is only on the Injustice world, so we have to count Swamp Thing as dead. And the reason why this poll is kind of important is he did this for Mortal Kombat X, and every character that was on the poll was included in the game eventually, whether it be through the actual initial roster or DLC. So it's kind of like a hint, so it's kind of like a subtle confirmation, but in Ed Boon's typical troll on Twitter ways, that he's going to throw out these random characters and see what the hype is, like see what the results were. Blue Beetle, I think, won that, or Captain Cold. I'm not looking at the picture right now that I kept, but I'll put it on screen about who won that poll. But that's my first speculation, that this is not in entire Justice World. But anyway, moving on. So let's get some returning characters out of the way. That will be Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Ares. Now, I'm going to say Ares here with like an asterisk next to him, because Ares, I think, could easily be replaced by other popular Wonder Woman villains, because I do think we need a Wonder Woman villain, especially with the Wonder Woman movie coming up, especially since I think Injustice 2 will be coming out like right before the Wonder Woman movie does. So putting Ares or maybe some popular villains like Cersei or Cheetah, or Chitara, no. Chitara is from Thundercats, but Cheetah. But I also think Ares could come back as a returning character, because so far we don't have too many returning characters outside of like the norm. So I think Ares could come back, but they could replace him with Cheetah or Cersei to have another female character. I kind of glanced over Martian Manhunter, but I do think Martian Manhunter will be on the initial roster this time. He was DLC for the first Injustice game, and I think Boone and all of NetherRealm kind of learned that you need to have Martian Manhunter. It's like he's a founding member of the Justice League, and he has a big fan base, so it's like, why wasn't he part of the initial roster beforehand? So I think they learned their lesson, and he's going to be a part of the initial roster this time around. The next character, I think Lobo, besides Martian Manhunter being a founding member of the Justice League, I think Lobo is the only DLC character that would return. I don't have my 100% guarantee on that, because I might be just a little tiny biased because Lobo was one of my mains in Injustice 1, so I'd really like for him to return. The reason why I say he's like the only DLC character outside of Martian Manhunter have a chance of returning is other characters like Zatanna probably won't, because we already have Dr. Fate, and I don't think they're going to want two different magic characters. I think they're going to want to diverse the abilities and fighting styles of the characters as much as possible. So two magic heroes probably won't work. So they're just going to have Dr. Fate instead of Zatanna. So moving on, another returning character, Catwoman. Catwoman's just a big character, another female, so they probably will bring her back as a unique fighting style. So pretty simple. Cyborg, one of the few remaining Teen Titans. Since Nightwing is technically dead here, we have to have some Titans, so Cyborg will return. Hawkgirl, the only Thanagarian, flying character and female, and returning character, so it just seems to make sense. A lot of these characters are going to be no-brainers about why returning. Green Lantern. Now see, here's my little issue with Green Lantern is, in the comics, all the other notable Green Lanterns, Guy Gardner, John Stewart, and all them are dead. So that only leaves Hal Jordan, but Hal Jordan is currently a Yellow Lantern. So that's probably another small, like, this has to be another cross-universe game, because I don't think we're going to have a Green Lantern who's going to be entirely yellow unless they, in the story mode, like, okay, he goes back to being a Green Lantern. So next, we're going to be moving on to brand new characters that I think have a good chance of being in the game. So the first one is going to be, I mentioned him earlier, Blue Beetle. Hopefully the Jaime Reyes version of the character, who's probably the much better version. Very talked about as DLC, really wanted as DLC in Injustice 1. Has a huge following, is practically begged for in almost every Twitter posting by Ed Boon for Blue Beetle, as well as a couple of other characters. And he would bring a unique moveset with his sonic attacks, his energy blast attacks, flying, armor. He has quite the arsenal. So I think he has definitely a real shot. Black Canary. Now, remember how I said I had two big theories about why this is not a Injustice World only game? The first one was Swamp Thing. 2 is Black Canary. And Black Canary here, we're going to dive a little into the comic here. Black Canary would make sense coming into this game because Green Arrow is dead. She would want, you know, to fight alongside Batman to get rid of Superman because of the death of Green Arrow. So it makes sense that she would come along. But in the Injustice prequel comics, she actually had Green Arrow's baby, and Dr. Fate decided to say, you know, screw laws of reality and stuff like that, and actually took the Injustice World Black Canary to another universe where Green Arrow is still alive, so they could have the baby and just be happy together. So if Black Canary were to be in this game, it has to be a Black Canary from another universe. So that's my other... And the reason why I think Black Canary is in this game, because the actress who played Black Canary on Arrow did a tweet showing her a motion capture performance, a very popular method from NetherRealm of making characters. So I think it seems very likely that Black Canary could be in this game, and if she is, she most likely is from the original dimension, or from a normal dimension and not the Injustice one. So that's my second big clue onto why this is not a Injustice World only. But for the sake of this first speculation video, we're just going to say that Black Canary's in the game for whatever reason and not in the alternate universe that was already set up in the comics. The next one is Darkseid, another highly requested character. Since I'm not bringing back Bane or Doomsday or Solomon Grundy, we need some more big monster characters. We already have Atrocitus and Gorilla Grodd, kind of. But I think we need at least one more, and that could be Darkseid, who once again is a very popular requested character. And plus, a lot of people think that Darkseid could be like a big bad of the game, alongside Superman and Grodd and Atrocitus and all that. So, big popular character, could easily be a character in this game to replace the absences of like Bane and Grundy and Doomsday, specifically Doomsday. The next one, Ra's al Ghul. This one entirely comes from the announcement trailer that's supposedly done by Bryan Cranston. It's very heavily hinted towards having Ra's al Ghul being that character, and so thus leading that he might be a character in the game. Because otherwise, besides that, he's kind of a Batman character. I think he might have started as a different character's villain, but he's more associated with Batman now, and I think they're going to want to slowly get away from as many Batman-related characters as possible, because that was a big complaint from a lot of people in the first game, that there were too many Batman-related characters. So that's why I don't have characters like Batgirl back, because people just might be sick of Bat characters. But we have Catwoman, who kind of stands on her own, but still related to Batman. I have another character coming up that's kind of related to Batman, but she might be just big enough to stand on her own. And Ra's al Ghul is also kind of like that. He's big enough to stand on his own. Plus, he might be good in this game because he's a sword wielder. We don't really have any sword wielders. Wonder Woman kind of is, but she uses sword and shield, which is just a little bit different. So having a martial artist sword wielder like Ra's al Ghul could be good for the game. Next one is actually a character I personally would love. Haven't seen too much attention to him from other people, but I would love to see Red Tornado. It's like we don't really have a machine character, and we don't have anyone with wind powers. You would think maybe like Hawkgirl would have wind powers, use something with her wings, but no. But we could have Red Tornado, who is a major, like, pretty much an airbender. Just call him an airbender. He's a robotic airbender. And he could be a lot of fun as a character, and he's also a big member of the Justice League, so why Red Tornado hasn't even been mentioned in, at least from what I've seen in the Injustice comics and and the game, and so it's like, where's Red Tornado been this whole time? So I'd love to see him. He's like my own personal input in this game, in this roster. Next one will be Starfire, with the absence, like I said, of Nightwing. Even though he's not technically gone in the comics, he's the new Deadman. He's very comic booky stuff. Deadman went away, and Nightwing, because he died, is now the new Deadman. Very weird, but we're missing a Titan-like character, and I think Starfire could do that and even replace Raven as one a female and two a Titan, just to have a little bit of variety. Plus, she's a fan favorite, so of course they'll want her in this game. Plus, she has like interesting alien powers, which could make for an interesting moveset. So Starfire, I could easily see. They're going to want to cater a lot to the fans in this game, I think. So they're going to want to grab as many of highly requested characters as possible. Moving on, another highly requested character. I think probably the #1 requested character besides ones that did get in the game, like Martian Manhunter. That would be Static from, Static Shock. And with the absence of Shazam, if this would be an Injustice World only game, we're missing an electricity-based character. And I think Static would fit that perfectly. Another big hint at Static being in this game is that he was in the mobile game for a little while. So having Static already there, having somewhat of a model, even though I don't really like the model that they had of him in the Injustice mobile game, hopefully they change it up a bit. And so yeah, we need an electricity-based character. We need a fan favorite, and I think they will try to get him because he's a fan favorite. He's, like I said, he's probably the most requested character outside of one other one I'll talk about in a little bit, and Martian Manhunter when he was not a character. So moving on to the next one, Vixen. Vixen, I think, does have a really good chance at being a character because there's a couple of reasons. One, female. We need more female characters. She just got cast in the new Legends of Tomorrow TV show for Season 2, so I could easily see her being announced as a playable character in Injustice when Legends of Tomorrow Season 2 kicks off this fall. And she's the only character from Legends of Tomorrow that could be in this game, pretty much. Everyone else doesn't really fit too much. I mean, we have Captain Cold already, but he was a hit with the Flash. And Arrow will have Black Canary and maybe Green Arrow if he comes back. So we don't really have anyone from Legends of Tomorrow, but Vixen would fit perfectly. Plus, being female, she would replace Beast Boy, which I know a lot of people want Beast Boy, but I think they would much rather go with someone like Vixen instead of Beast Boy for their, animal-based character. So I think for those reasons of Legends of Tomorrow, animal-based character, female, she probably has a lot going for her, and I honestly would be surprised if she was not. She's got her own little anime show, so she's got a lot of popularity rising recently. And I was kind of running out of slots, and I decided to just scour what other people really want. And even though there was a lot of Batman characters in the first game, people still really want Poison Ivy. And I personally don't think Poison Ivy will be in the game. The biggest thing is this whole armor system that they're promoting. You don't exactly see Poison Ivy being a character who would latch on a bunch of armor pieces. But after watching some gameplay, they're just more like articles of clothing more than armor than we saw in the reveal trailer. So they could just decorate her with different plants and stuff. And then I also thought about it. If this were to be an Injustice-only world, then Poison Ivy could make sense in the form of Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing in the comics, in the Injustice comics at least, had a thing going on. They kind of worked together. I don't know if it was ever romantic, but they kind of worked together because they're both plant-based creatures. So Poison Ivy could get on the action for revenge for Swamp Thing's death. So I think that's entirely possible, and we don't have any other plant-like powers or earth, so Poison Ivy could work, even though I don't really think so. But if they were to, I would not be against it. But like I said, they also might try to avoid as many Batman characters as possible because of the backlash from the first game. So Poison Ivy, I wouldn't be mad with, but I would also be kind of shocked if she was. Now, the last character of the 28 is a three-way tie, and I think some fanboys are really going to get a little upset with me for doing this to them, because I know they're different. I know they would probably fight different in the game, but for what they are and how they would fight, they are pretty similar, and they probably would only want one of them in the game. So my last character is a three-way tie between the return of Deathstroke, the addition of Deadshot, or Red Hood. So I'm pretty sure you guys would probably understand why they might not want to bring Deathstroke back, because he was the most easily spammable character in the first Injustice game. So unless they majorly retooled him, they might just want to get rid of him entirely, because it was a bad taste in the mouth for the players. But the thing is, though, you could probably say, well, Deadshot would be pretty much the same exact thing, and Deathstroke might even have an advantage over Deadshot, because at least Deathstroke can use swords and daggers and maybe even some explosives, while Deadshot is primarily a gun shooter. I would agree with you, but like how I am thinking they might do Vixen because of the Legends of Tomorrow promotion, with Suicide Squad coming out, Deadshot could probably get a lot of popularity. And so instead of having Deathstroke in the game and having that bad taste in mouth from him being such a spammable character, they might put Deadshot in, put a reworked gun character, plus one that is from a movie that is coming out. So I do think Deadshot does have a pretty decent chance on being the character if that were to be the case. Now, Red Hood is also pretty same. He uses guns, although not big guns like Deathstroke or Deadshot would. He uses pistols, probably uses explosives and some other gear, but I feel like he kind of falls in the same category in playstyle. And like I said, they probably only want one of those in the game. So that would be my final character. Number 28 is a tie between Deathstroke, Deadshot, and Red Hood. Red Hood also being a very, very, kind of like how I said Blue Beetle, Martian Manhunter, and Static were up there. Red Hood was also really up there as a highly requested character. So yeah, this is my list, and it leaves us out with a total of 17 heroes and 11 villains, which I think is a pretty good percentage, like, balance between it. I know we'll probably lean more towards heroes, and some characters are more like anti-hero, not really full villains, kind of like Catwoman, and even Harley Quinn in the Injustice universe, I think, is on the more side of Batman, who would technically be considered. It's kind of hard to say with the Injustice universe because Superman's a bad guy, Harley Quinn's kind of a good guy, Green Lantern's a bad guy. So, but from their initial sides, we have 17 heroes and 11. The only downside to my roster is there are only 9 females, and I think they would want to try a little harder to balance that out just a bit more. So they might want to maybe keep Raven or something. But anyway, I think that is it for this first video. As I said, in a couple of months, as it goes by, as we learn more information about is the story completely on the Injustice world, or as we get some more confirmation of characters, we'll see. I'll make another video to follow up. And yeah, so let me guys know what you guys think of my roster, what my reasoning behind some characters are, and I'll see you guys on the next speculation video for Injustice 2.